Inside City National Arena upstairs and the second floor and Studio 31 making it happen with Darren Eliot, Daren Millard, nighttime at noon, looking ahead to a beautiful, beautiful contest against the Minnesota Wild, the back half of a home-and-home as the Vegas Golden Knights continue to pursue top spot in the Central or the Pacific Division and top spot in the Western Conference. Darren Eliot, this game we expect to be a little more intense from the Minnesota Wild standpoint, but also an opportunity for Vegas to really put their foot down.
Yeah, you hope you continue to build on the game that you played. Okay.
Yeah.
The game that the team played was a reset after a couple of disappointing efforts, low energy efforts, and they were able to find their game really consistently for the entire 60 minutes in the victory over Minnesota. Minnesota at home, you think there'd be a little bit of pushback. Back-to-back against the same opponents, always difficult, kind of like playoff hockey. So I would expect this one to be a really good game.
And the opportunity that exists for Vegas to get their own game in order and really dial things in this final couple of weeks of the season. It's interesting to hear Bruce Cassidy talk about that they're not as worried about the out-of-town scoreboard or the race and the jockeying for position as they are about their own game. That's hard for fans to get our heads around.
Yeah, but it makes sense. So once you've accomplished the first goal is to make the playoffs. You've done it. Okay, so now you're going to be in the playoffs. You know that. Not sure where or who your first opponent's going to be. So since you don't know who your first opponent's going to be, all you can really focus on is your game until that point. And that's where the logic is, and you just want to make sure you're buttoned down in terms of all the things you want to do in all facets of the game.
We've got a lot to talk about today, including the lineup situation, but I want to bring in Bruce Cassidy from Minnesota. He had a chance to speak with Ashley Weiss earlier, just revolving around this game and lineup situation and where the Vegas Golden Knights are headed in this start of 2-2. Minnesota tonight and the Nashville Predators tomorrow. Here's Bruce Cassidy.
Bruce, last time you guys were in this building, it was the first trip after the All-Star break that kind of kicked off a really good run for you guys. How do you think that trip contributed to the team kind of getting its mojo going?
Well, certainly the start of it, I felt like we would have got our game back because we had it earlier in the year. It wasn't like we just found it then. We'd had it in October, November, and then we kind of in and out for a while. So obviously the dad's been around, I think, helped the guys a lot. I've said this before, I think the break physically and mentally helped everybody. So put those two things together and maybe got Minnesota at the right time. I don't know, but our game was good. We followed that up in Nashville and have been pretty good since then.
What's the biggest improvement you've seen in the overall team game since then?
That's a good question. I don't know if there's one area. I'd say our goaltending has been very consistent with a number of different guys. But Logan was good at the start of the year, and so was Aiden. So I don't know if it's necessarily that, but that's certainly where you always look first. I'd say our special teams have been good, not great, but timely. I guess the biggest thing is just different people contributing. It's probably the easiest way to put it. A lot of depth. And then the last thing I'd have to say with the health of our back end, say a consistent 6 guys in the lineup every night made things a little bit easier for us with guys that have played in the league and been partners on this team too, so the chemistry was already there.
You saw them on Saturday. What did you like that you're hoping carries over and extends into a tough building that you know?
Well, just the way we overall played. I liked our game. Our start, I guess we could pick on that, but I actually didn't mind it. We were just off net with some of our opportunities, and then we got ourselves in trouble with a penalty when we had an odd man rush that really could have changed the game in our direction too. So third period was excellent. We kept our foot on the gas. Whether they were out of gas or not, you never know, but I liked what our team did. Just our overall game, I thought, we had good pace to our game. Start of the third period wasn't our best. They had a really good push. We've survived that. So just, like I said, our overall game, I think our pace of our game and puck management was better than San Jose, a lot better. I mean, you guys didn't see that, but we weren't very good in that area there, and we cleaned that up for sure. And that probably had a lot to do with us only giving up 1 goal.
3 in a row for Daren. What's your thinking there, Bruce?
Well, he's healthy again, playing good hockey. So when he left us, with his injury, he'd played 3 games. He played really well. So we're just trying to get him back up to speed in terms of reps. It's back to back. So honestly, Gary, if we put a Johnny in tonight and Loren tomorrow, I don't know if there's a huge, we just felt, and maybe if this wasn't Minnesota, that's the way we would have looked at it, because we're coming off, he was a real solid game against them. We figure we'll put him right back in there. That's probably it.
These little back-to-backs, like you did this with Edmonton, now you're doing it with the Wild, and with Seattle. Is there some playoff, preparation that you can do for your group in those situations?
Well, I mean, coaches like it because you're only looking at, after, let's say we were playing someone else, we would have looked at our team and then been off pre-scouting. So you get, while you're watching the game, you're watching both sides a little more closer. I'm watching many more than I would normally if we weren't playing them back-to-back. So that part's good. I think players get a playoff feel that way. It's always back and forth in the playoffs. One team wins, the other, you got to be ready, like tonight, right? We got to be ready for a better game than they gave us up there.
90.
Happened with Edmonton. They certainly did it, and we expect the same tonight. We got to be ready to respond.
With
Looks
the
like
goalies,
Riley-
Bruce, I'm sorry, I was just going to say, have you kind of thought about the week and quick against the Kings, or have you not got that far
No,
just
you
yet?
guys
playing
ask
it
me
out?
that all the time. I'm not
Yep.
going to answer. We don't do that, right? Like it's we've talked about it, but the way our year's gone, I mean, we don't know. I mean,
Try and get through tonight.
yeah, let's get through these 2 games. They're here, and let's see what the other guys are at back home, if they're skating, and where's their progress. But obviously the
1 minute.
story, no matter who we play. If we play quick, it's a big story. If we don't, I'm a bad guy. So at the end of the day, we're going to play the guy who gives us the best chance to win, because we're getting down there, and we'll see who that is Thursday. Right now, they're each going to play in the next 2 days.
To me, to get somebody like Riley back in your lineup, a glue guy that he brings to it.
Well, I mean, in and out all year with different guys like that. We've lost a lot of glue guys, so it's only going to make us
30.
up in his absence, obviously. So you want that. It's bumped some younger guys out of the lineup. It happens to be younger guys right now. That's the part that's no good for those guys. They did their job, but that's part of professional hockey, right? Once your name's called, get in there and do it. But as for
10.
that guy, he's a proven guy in the league, and he's going right back into his spot, going to play his minutes, play on both special teams, play with Carly, and go from there.
There's Bruce Cassidy this morning at the St. Paul, actually the XL Energy Center.
That's right.
In St. Paul. Beautiful facility. I love that rink, by the way. This is the second half of the home and home for the Vegas Golden Knights and the Minnesota Wild. A couple of things that I wanted Bruce to get to before we could play off it. One being the goaltending. Laurent Brossoit goes again. He'll play both halves of this home and home and his 3rd straight start. What does that tell you about where the goaltending is lining up with 2 weeks to go?
Well, I think Bruce, no, I don't think. He's the most honest coach with a microphone in his face that I've ever seen. He's telling you that, okay, we're trying to get Laurent Brossoit his reps because he came back, he played 3 games, was out a month, so he gets another start. Oh, and he might not have gotten the start tonight if it was back-to-back with a different opponent than it was last game where he played well. All that is, that just makes sense, right? That's just logic. And then, I think it was Dave Gosher asked about the game on Thursday against the Kings, which we all want from a storybook and storyline standpoint. But Bruce, again, completely honest. He goes, I can't tell you that. He goes, we don't do that. And then why would we? Because we don't know beyond tomorrow. Right now, our plan is both guys will play. That's all we know. We can't project out to Thursday because these guys have to stay healthy, and there's guys skating back here potentially. So there you have it. I mean, it's kind of in the moment, but it's up to date from the head coach.
So from Brossoit's point of view,
Yeah.
let's look at him specifically.
Okay.
You'll examine playing Minnesota in consecutive games in a matchup of division leaders.
Right.
That tells you that you're putting a lot of emphasis on these games with one guy. Am I right?
Yeah, because you said you're going to play who is coming down to it, and you're going to play whoever gives you the best chance to win. So the coach did say that as well. So buried in there is like he's played very well, so of course you get the start. And it's that little bit of a nod, as he said, to playoff situation where you have to play the same opponent. and expect a better game from them. They're moving home, just like you would coming off a loss in a playoff series. You expect the other team to respond. You have to respond with adjustments and all those kinds of things. So we're getting kind of primed for the postseason. That's the
So
cool
does he
part.
have a leg up?
He does going into tonight.
Okay. So this is a really important start for Laurent Brossoit, who earns the 3 straight assignments.
Well, they're all important, but it's important not from a team level, and certainly if he delivers, it helps him an awful lot, in his case, to be the starter when we get going April 17th.
Do you buy into the fact that he can't win basically on that Los Angeles situation?
Well, I mean, you can win by playing Jonathan Quick.
But if you got a guy who's going to be your starter and he's going great, and that's an incredibly important game,
Right.
you're going against the story. But if you go through the story,
Well, the story is for us to talk about. The story is not for the coach or the team to play into. It's just right. It's a great read of a chapter to be written if Jonathan Quick goes in there and plays great against the King. That's all storybook stuff. Unfortunately, down at the locker room level with the coaches, they have to be way more pragmatic than we do at the desk. You know,
what have you liked about Brossoit's game?
what I always like about when Laurent Brossoit was playing well, he's big, no matter what, but he plays quiet, gets to the spot, lets the puck find him, doesn't do a lot of reaching, searching around for pucks. When there's a rebound, it's well contained. Last game is rebound control. If there was a rebound, he didn't spit it out to dangerous areas. He put it in a position where either his defenseman could clear it or he could gather it. And then there is still the athleticism after the fact if need be. But when he's playing, like I said, for the first few points, there's not a lot of diving around after the fact because he's been so efficient in making the first save, and if there is a rebound, making sure there's nothing to it.
Heard the reference to Riley Smith. He's going to be in the lineup. We'll get to that in just a little bit, as well as anything the Vegas Golden Knights would like to do a little bit better than the victory over the Minnesota Wild on Saturday night at T-Mobile Arena. But the scarf in the around your neck. If you're listening on the radio, Daren Eliot and I have AFC Bournemouth scarves from the Premiership League. What does that do for your wardrobe?
Brightens it up since
Yes.
I showed up here in gray entirely.
I think it's a beautiful look for you.
Oh, there you go. Well, who knows? It might catch on. I might just start being my trademark right here.
Well, I think it's a good one. And if you want further accessories,
Yeah.
you can go down to the Arsenal because AFC Bournemouth, the newest member of the Foley Entertainment Group, coming off a huge comeback win over Fulham on Saturday that lifted them out of the relegation zone. They have all kinds of different clothing lines, different paraphernalia downstairs at the Arsenal, and scarves like these included in that. And if you show your receipt from the Arsenal, you get a discount on your meal at Mac River. Because tomorrow the Cherries are playing, and we have a watch party here at City National Arena at 11:45 a.m. To watch the AFC Bournemouth take on Brighton.
Exciting stuff. Nothing more exciting than this scarf, though.
It is. It's kind of cool, though, right?
Sure,
Dude. I know you're not a big Premiership.
I don't know. I never followed it.
No bandwidth.
I don't know.
There's limited bandwidth. I
don't know enough about it. So it seems like it's a big deal.
These scarves.
Yeah.
This is currency.
Is it like?
Yeah.
Is that what
it's a huge thing around followers.
Like I
just
went
by
to-
wearing this, people will be texting you saying, "Hey, if
I'm
you don't
in."
want your scarf, we'll take it." Like this is a big thing.
That's what I'm saying. I don't even know what is the cool stuff for the fans in Bournemouth, in the Premier League, all those kinds of things. I mean, I went to a soccer game and had to experience it way back in the day in Germany. You stand up and everybody gets going and all that kind of stuff. But in terms of playing it, following it, I played indoor soccer one year.
Yep.
I was terrible.
Yep. As a goalie or
No, I was out there running around.
running around.
Yeah.
Okay, you got to wear your scarf. It's not like a fashion scarf.
Oh, it's not.
You just drape it around your neck. Don't get into trying to be
How it
hip
looks,
and cool.
okay.
Yeah, okay. Don't
Yeah,
try to tie it up
absolutely
or
don't do
anything like that. But this is awesome. So scarves like this available at the Arsenal, and there's a watch party tomorrow. A Brighton Arsenal AFC going at it tomorrow morning, 11:45. Get your scarf. Come up. Enjoy.
Okay, you're a spokesmodel. I
Yeah.
were a spokesman. Okay, but did you follow soccer before this undertaking of Foley Entertainment?
Yeah, I came from Toronto, MLS,
Yeah.
right there. So
Yeah.
so
Oh, so did I.
so that's well. Don't get mad at me. You asked a question. I'm saying yes.
well,
now you're
see,
getting all
did you-
pissy with me.
Did you say yes? MLS has nothing to do with the Premier League.
Well, you said soccer,
No, I didn't.
not the Premiership. Yes.
So, did I? Okay,
Yeah,
I said
soccer.
soccer. I'm
You
sorry.
said soccer, so-
so I didn't even say football. And okay, so you went right to the MLS.
And then
All
you
right.
start hammering on me. You know what? Let's take a break. You and I need to sort a couple of things
Okay.
out. No, but we'll come back with the Riley Smith situation. Plus, something happened in the dressing room in Minnesota this morning between two veteran defensemen that you have to see and hear, depending on what platform, whether you're watching the stream or listening to the radio. You have to just experience to really take in. Martinez and Pietrangelo. It's awesome. Stick around. For nothing else, stick around for that. It's Nighttime at Noon on Fox Sports Las Vegas and all the social media channels. Great week for the Vegas Golden Knights. Opportunity knocking, and they take on the Minnesota Wild tonight, Nashville Predators tomorrow, and later in the week it'll be Los Angeles and Dallas. And that LA game has big connotations and impact on the Pacific Division race and the Dallas Stars in the Western Conference. Every game has a little bit of intrigue. Darren Millard along with Daren Eliot here in Studio 31 at City National Arena. We've got the pregame show on the TV side coming up at 4:30. The pregame show on Fox Sports Las Vegas 4 o'clock with Ryan Wallace. Let's start with today. If you can happen to sweep this home-and-home series against the Minnesota Wild, it gains 4 points in that battle for the Western Conference. I know that the Pacific is the more important thing, but if you can couple it with a conference lead and home ice advantage through the first 2 rounds, significant.
Oh, it really is. You're up 4 right now, so it's a big opportunity. It's on the road. It'll be a tough game, but again, that gets you ready for playoff hockey. Did you watch any hockey yesterday? I watched Winnipeg's game and Calgary's game. What a geek am I?
Because it brings you in this time of the year. Now, you're probably watching that in November.
Right.
But the added intensity that's going around the National Hockey League right now with all the different playoff races. So you can basically do huge damage to Nashville tomorrow.
Yep.
You can boot them out of any thought of making the playoffs. You can add to your lead in the Pacific Division with the LA game. And then you've got Dallas on the other side, which is a message-sending game. There's when Bruce Cassidy says every team we play down the stretch, there's a hook to it, he's right.
And given the performance in San Jose, maybe it's a good thing, right? It's like if you want your team locked in, lots of times elite athletes, they can sense what the occasion is. You don't want it to be true, but over an 82-game schedule, sometimes you just mentally can't get there, so physically you're not as quick and you look slow and sluggish, and when you add it all together, you don't play with the pace that the coach wants and actually the pace that you need when you're successful, and they certainly did that against Minnesota, and I expect them to do that again tonight.
Minnesota, Nashville, LA, and Dallas.
Oh, yeah.
Is there a most important game in there?
You know what, though? It kind of depends, right, how it goes. Like
yes.
If you lose against Minnesota, then the next one, the next night becomes real important to get the split on the road. And if you lose 2 in a row, we haven't done that in forever to lose 3 in a row, so that Kings game becomes, amplified.
Or if you win the next 2, then it sets up an opportunity to really do some damage against the Los Angeles Kings in the Pacific. But the next one is the cliche, the most important one in this setup.
It is, and you can't get, we're talking about it in a block of 4. I guess what we're talking about it in that fashion, but we're actually dissecting it game at a time because that's really what teams have to do to be successful. You don't look too far ahead, but one, result can impact how important, quote unquote, the next game is, and that's real right now at this time of season for sure.
Here's a interesting one. They have a chance to sweep the Minnesota Wild with a victory tonight.
Okay.
Given the difficulties against the Wild the first few
that's
years, like this means something to those players that have been around since the inception, been around for the last couple of years. That has to add to it, on top of the fact that you're battling with Minnesota for conference position.
Yeah, and it's interesting. Players do those kinds of things do stick with them. There was a post-game interview, and I think it was Calgary. They haven't beaten Vancouver, whoever, in hardly forever. And they're like, nice that we finally beat them. It was like one of those recognition things, and that's real. It's like it doesn't maybe play out for fans or in the big picture, but it's like, man, this team really seems to have our number. So for a number of guys that have been here for a while, taking care of the Minnesota Wild would feel real good.
The inclination is that we're pointing towards Riley Smith's return tonight. Mm-hmm. He skating on his own, returned to practice in a non-contact sweater, and now returns onto William Karlsson's line tonight. That's a big add here in the last 2 weeks.
Absolutely. I mean, whether they play together or not, the misfits, to me, they define this team. They've gotten better at certain things. They've continued to elevate their individual games. Jonathan Marchessault playing with Jack Eichel and Barbashev now, so he's off that line. But Riley Smith returns to play with William Karlsson potentially, and William Karlsson has become the darling of Bruce Cassidy's two-way centerman posture in his system. So those three, after all this time, and even go back to when Shea Theodore's in the lineup, those guys that were here originally still in large part define the success and identity of this team.
What do you like about the return of Riley Smith? What's the benefit? There's some obvious and some subliminal.
I would say ask William Karlsson. They have such good chemistry together, as well as Karlsson's playing. He and Smith are just special together, whether it's 5-on-5 or 4-on-4. So when you bring in Riley Smith, now that tinkers again, you have another option to put him on the power play. As that's always evolving, because that's been a sticking point yet again this season, consistency on the power play.
What about the penalty kill? And that's an area that has been great the last two games after the Edmonton situation. He didn't play in that Edmonton game. And part of me wonders would it have been different?
Maybe, but I think, we've seen him take chances early in the year and get burned on it too. So to me, it's not about Riley Smith per se as part of the penalty kill group. He's excellent, and he and Karlsson together are as dynamic as it gets when they're down a man. But to me, John Stevens, Darren, when he was talking to us, when he was telling us about that maybe we gave them a little too much credit, them being the Edmonton Oilers power play. Maybe we were too deferential. That resonates with me more than personnel. It's like, what's your mindset going? And yeah, we know who they have, what they do. We're really good too when we play our game, and sometimes that can get lost. I'm sure if they meet up in the postseason, they'll take a different tact in terms of how much respect they give that Edmonton power play.
The top line we know is going great. Jack's really flying right now. He and Barbashev have something, right?
They do.
That's not to take away from Marchessault, but there
all.
seems to be something there.
Well, I think what it is when you play with a guy like Jack Eichel, he freelances a lot, right, offensively. He's so dynamic. Is he going to get his shot away? Is he going to get to a spot where he laser zips a pass to you that you better be ready for? Barbashev's been good at that, being ready. But Barbashev does the same thing every time. Very predictable. That's helpful to me on a line that's centered by Jack Eichel or a player of his ilk, because he knows what's going to happen next all the time. Like, Barbashev's going to go in, going to put pressure on, and guess where he's going to go? Right to the front of the net, or he's going to go behind the net and be the outlet, depending on the coverage. So from Eichel's standpoint, he knows where Barbashev's going to be every single time because he's so consistent.
Riley Smith returns. That gives them another 20-goal scorer back in the lineup instantly. We've seen some great returns. Just one quick comment on Teddy Bluger, who is back in the lineup, and there just seems to be a home and a great fit there with Teddy Bluger.
Yeah, might as well just call him Gluger. He is a glue guy, right? I mean, that's the kind of player he is. Every team has to have him if you're going to be successful. He's come in. He's shown what he can do. And I think he's the kind of guy you usually hear more about in matchups in playoff kinds of situations.
He is expected to center a line with Michael Amadio and Keegan Colasar tonight. Boy, Amadio having a career year too. So that's been wonderful to watch. I want to tell you about Craigie Range at the Dollar Loan Center in Henderson. It's the perfect place to enjoy a pregame or postgame meal. Come to watch your Knights on one of Craigie Range's big screen TVs or the huge outdoor LED screen. Enjoy your favorite craft beer, wine, bourbon, or all kinds of cocktails while you catch the action. You'll find the menu for the whole family, plus a full bar with 16 beer taps. 16 beer taps. Don't try them all at once. You get bloated, among other things. The Craigie Range Sports Bar and Grill is open daily, no ticket required. When we continue, the Vegas Golden Knights above the century mark. We'll get into that, plus that awesome exchange between Alex Martinez and Alex Martinez and Alex Pietrangelo.
There you go.
See, that's where it gets me.
Go last name. Just go last name.
It's nighttime at noon on Fox Sports Las Vegas.
around. I give a what they hate to do. If I do not try, then I will have failed, and I can't afford not to make a move. I was told I was not good enough. I was told I was not capable. I had to sit and just ask myself, what you gonna let make of you grow? Everything that I've been working for is right in front of me. I will not ever let go. Using negativity.
Hope you're enjoying your Monday wherever you're streaming or listening to on Fox Sports Las Vegas. Darren Millard, Daren Eliot here in Studio 31, getting set for the game tonight against the Minnesota Wild. The Vegas Golden Knights can move further into the Century Club tonight. They 101 points, second time in franchise history. The Golden Knights topped the three digits. A little skewed. They would have been there at least one other time had they played a full season during the pandemic. But this is incredible. They still have an outside shot at setting the all-time franchise mark for points in a season.
It's been, like I said, on the air in post-game, last game against Minnesota, you take a look at, what it takes to make the playoffs, and we had fun with Gary, and he's like 93.5. We were talking about that weeks ago. Bruce Cassidy said, well, 100's a nice number, and any more, you might as well shoot for 100. If you want to guarantee yourself a playoff spot. And you can, start to see what he's talking about. Look at since the All-Star break. Team has been fantastic and haven't been able to separate from the Oilers or the Kings because everybody's playing well at the same time. And then on the other side, Minnesota's the same thing. Colorado's the same thing. And Dallas has hung in the mix to their credit as well. So the top six teams have all been going, and so you haven't been able to, even though you've been successful, you haven't really been able to put the separation you would have thought.
Well, top six have been outstanding. It's so jammed up, but the top three, all from the Pacific Division.
Right.
Isn't that a statement, given how the Pacific Division was perceived at the start of the year?
Yeah, no, the pundits were like, oh, it's the easiest division. Don't think they're saying that now. And, at the time, when you're out here, it's a little bit different. Certainly there were some unknowns, and with the Golden Knights, it was the goaltending, and Logan Thompson stepped in and had an all-star first half of the season, quelled a lot of those situations and comments. But, Vancouver, they're up. So, Seattle came out of nowhere to make it a really difficult, at least in my mind, came out of nowhere to be solid from the start of the season to now. So that right away made you, it's like, wow, that's another team we hadn't thought about. The Kings I always liked, that I think they're really well built. And Edmonton made the big move that they had to make in getting the defenseman Ekholm to solidify their blue line.
When you analyze it, does home ice advantage mean the least to Vegas compared to these other clubs because of what they've been able to do on the road? Right now, Minnesota has 20 road wins, 24 for Colorado, 23 for Dallas, and Vegas has the fewest regulation losses by far with 7 on the road.
Right. So you're comfortable on the road.
Right.
I don't know that there's a correlation, though. Like, you're comfortable on the road. That's good. Veteran team, so you should be. To me, you still want home ice. You know that ownership wants home ice. Potential for the extra games, depending on number of series. So that's the business side of it. The reality side is it doesn't really matter until you have that moment. And let's be honest, the Fortress rocks. It was jam-packed the other night. Playoffs is another whole level for the fan base as well. So to me, it matters. But it's you're comfortable on the road. But guess what? What Darren just said, so are all the top teams.
Within reach of 50 wins. That is a magical number, isn't it?
It is. 50 wins, it's tough in this league. Now, there's more opportunities, obviously, with shootouts and everything having a win or a loss tie, associated with it, or the opportunity to win more often than years and years past. But yeah, you'll take 50 wins any time and call it successful.
Golden Knights with that blue line, they've watched Ben Hutton come in and been really good. Is that not one of the guys that you really do appreciate? You don't cheer against anybody.
Nope.
I find it a little misleading to say, "Oh, we cheer." That's a guy you cheer for. But with Ben Hutton, you enjoy that success.
Certainly appreciate it. Having been a guy that was, 3 goalies deep some parts of my NHL career, in the American League, trying to hope that somebody's watching as you're trying to work on your game. Ben Hutton's had to work on his game without being truly, for a long stretch, a part of the team. And what I mean by that is you have to put in the work alone. Everybody has an off day. You don't. And you have to do the extra work on the road. Everybody stay at the hotel. You're not. You're working with the trainers. You're putting in the extra work for that moment when after 21 games of not having any action, guess what happens? They call your number. And at that particular time, nobody cares what the lead up was. Not coaches, not fans. You have to be ready to deliver. And Ben Hutton certainly has done that in the game since he's been back in.
And he's had some power play time, which everybody wants, but he really appreciates because it helps him get a feel for the puck and use some of those skills and get comfortable.
Well, and it just shows you how times have changed, too, because it's you bring a guy back into the lineup and he shows that he's ready and capable. That part's good. But giving power play minutes, that means that you're putting him in a situation to be successful because he has that kind of game where offensively he keeps plays alive off the blue line. He can shoot the puck effectively from distance. So, I give the coaching staff credit. They've done that all season long with everybody. You put players in positions to be successful. Dorofeev comes to mind. And playing the fourth line as a skilled guy coming from the minors, put him on the second line. Okay, he's out of the lineup right now, but that's part of the process because there's been a little bit of a drop-off, and now you're getting a little bit healthier. But while he was in there, he was put in a situation to be as successful as he possibly could, and he took advantage of it, just like Ben Hutton.
And he's part of this group, and not just on the lineup card,
right?
But socially within the dressing room camaraderie with the guys. And notice that. So this happened this morning. In St. Paul, that the Golden Knights were having their pregame skate, and Ashley Weiss was getting some sound for us on the TV side and for Vegas Golden Knights Twitter account and social media channels, and she was talking to Alex Pietrangelo, and there was some chirping happening on either side of him. Then she decided to get to the bottom of it, went over to Alec Martinez, who had some things to say about Pietrangelo and holding court, and Ben Hutton was right in there. So this is a conversation that involves three different players, but shows you the chemistry between superstar, Stanley Cup champion multiple occasions with Alec Martinez, but more on the defensive side, and then Ben Hutton, who's been in and out of the lineup. Have a load of and enjoy this moment between three different players.
Your way, offensively. This year, I think we've done a really good job. I can't do it. Creating offense is something I'm going to do. I can't do it with these guys. I got this guy bickering in the background. I got this guy.
What is it like sitting next to Alec Martinez every day?
It's a real treat. It's a real treat.
Alex Pietrangelo as a locker mate.
Horrible. He has no concept of other people or any spatial awareness. Half the time I have about a fraction of my stall, if that. I'm bumping over and using Huddies.
He's not wrong.
I'm not wrong. He's got sticks. He's got gum. Anytime I go get tape, I come back, it's gone. Mysteriously, he claims someone else takes it. There's drinks everywhere. Is this yours? Is this mine? It's like, no, it's clearly yours because it's all the way in my stall. Usually I just try to go sit on the other side of the room. It's terrible. Yeah. Good teammate? Yeah, right.
Of all the things you'll hear, X's and O's that we've talked about today, that's going to be what's going to stick with you.
The league coming out of the lockout in 04-05 said, player access, so it's going to be great. And we have all the mic'd up, and some places do it better than others. But overall, you don't get much out of it when they do the in-game mic'd up with a player because language is salty, and the guys it just ends up being, come on guys, want to go guys, hey, that is the best mic'd up that you'll ever hear. That's a real glimpse inside of what a locker room's like. Guys are just comfortable with each other and ribbing each other. That's good stuff.
The takeaway though is Pietrangelo takes up a lot of space physically.
Evidently. What did Hutton said in the background? He's not lying.
He's got a stall for his gloves is what Hutton threw in there on the side. Did you ever play with somebody that just spread out?
Not
Took
that I
over
remember
a room?
because as a goalie you kind of did, and they always had you kind of.
Oh, they were mad at you.
But you were always off to the side. They didn't really mix the goalies, even back in the day. The goalies sat off to the side, and you kind of bumped into each other, but that was about it. Everybody else had their own stalls.
We're going to run that on the TV side.
Oh, that's funny.
This
That's
afternoon, just so you can see the facial reactions of Pietrangelo at first, talking about, trying to answer Ashley's question.
And he's like, I can't.
but is getting chirped all the time. And I love that Ashley did that. Went over
Absolutely.
to Martinez and said, "You're going to chirp? Let's go. Give me the real goods." And he spilled.
That's funny and good for Ashley. I mean, she's fantastic, and you can tell they have the respect. She has the respect of the locker room as well, because they're comfortable enough in front of her to give a little glimpse inside of what their day-to-day routine and ritual is like in the locker room.
Who had the most gear? Who had the most stuff in their locker room?
There was a kid that got drafted in the first round when I played for the Kings. His name was Craig Redmond, defenseman, played on Team Canada with them, phenom, skater. His dad came up with some specialty blades, so he had to send them out to be sharpened. We didn't even have a sharpener for them. So that was a little over the top as an 18-year-old in the National Hockey League, and he had blades everywhere and suitcases full of them. That guy's got on him about that. I remember that clearly.
What is it about tape where even if you're in the National Hockey League, there's never enough of it? And just to tag on to that, it always goes missing.
Well, yeah, you can never find a roll when you need one.
No.
So, and the poor equipment managers, they're fully stocking the table and the shelves every moment they're at the rink, and there's still not enough. You're right. It goes in your bag. You throw it. Somebody takes it. You never know where's the sticky tape? Where's the clear tape? There's all different kinds of tape for different purposes. You were looking for some the other day.
I was.
That padded?
Because you can't find it. It goes missing. And I
didn't take it.
I will totally admit that if I see some lying around, it's in my pocket. Gordon Weiger's over at on the office side, social media Gordon.
Yeah.
He had some tape on his desk last week. Gone. I rifled that thing quicker into my pocket than you could grab a coffee.
That might be something.
And you grab a coffee.
That's right. Public Works.
Fast. So that
here at City National Arena.
There's something about if it's there. It's like the Army. You eat when you can eat. You sleep when you can sleep. If you see tape, there's something about it that's ingrained where you grab it.
Yeah, again, because you never know when you're going to need it. I guess that's the theory in the hockey locker room. I'm going to need this later, so I better put it over here.
I love the involvement though of Ben.
Oh,
given that he sat out 21 straight games, but has come in and become a pretty important part in the absence of Shea Theodore. You can see it plus minus. You can see it ice time. You can see it point production,
and you can see it personality. Right? Yeah. Like not everybody can do that job. Like if you're.
What do you mean?
Well, if somebody has a personality, they hold on to stuff, or grind on the day-to-day, and it's 21 games, it's 45 days, and you don't get in a game. That's a quality that has to do with mental preparation and disposition of the individual. Not everybody can do it effectively. Otherwise, there'd be lots of guys hanging around vying for those spots, and. There really aren't that many.
Because you can become a distraction.
You can't be
to your own team, right?
As soon as you become a distraction,
if you're
you become unemployed.
And you're all that,
That's right.
Then it gets inside the group, and then they either push back and don't want you around as much, or you infect the group and it becomes a little bit negative,
and it's
even
not
on
just,
a good team.
Right. It's not even just the players. How do you treat the personnel, the guys who are part of the team? All the guys that do the equipment work and the trainers and the people you're working with physiotherapy and all those kinds of things to stay ready. If anybody senses that you're sour or predisposed to good days, bad days, you're not very consistent on the, up with people kind of movement, you're not going to be in that role.
Well, there's a reference. Are you talking about the performance up with people?
I'm just talking about being up and being ready.
Okay. You're not talking about the
well,
band.
That's where the term came
I
from.
know. I know enough that I wouldn't bring that up, and I'm a fan of up with people.
There you go.
But I'm like, nobody else would It's one of the reasons why you and I get along so well, despite the earlier altercation between us. Do you know a great honor coming through to Matthias Sapovalov, the OHL Player of the Week? Had a marvelous run at Christmas. 3 goals, 3 assists in 2 playoff games. So great stuff happening throughout the organization with Sapovalov.
That's good. I didn't know that.
Yep, I just got a text on it. That's why.
Very well. There you go. That is a, that's you watching. So it goes much deeper than just we showed you the locker room, the immediate. But we've also seen this year beyond the Vegas Golden Knights roster, what becomes Henderson Silver Knights. So many players have come up and been big contributors. Most recently, you have Yuri Patera and Dorofeev. So. Then there's beyond that. There's the prospects that are still playing amateur hockey.
We have some great news coming your way throughout the organization. I'll hold on to that as we take a break. But football is back as the Vegas Nighthawks return for their second season. Be part of the Nighthawks family and don't miss out on the action at the Dollar Loan Center in Henderson. Full season membership starting at $15 a ticket per game. For more information about tickets, venue, parking, and more, visit nighthawksfootball.com. We'll be back to set up the Minnesota Wild, the Vegas Golden Knights in just a little bit, plus a little bit more throughout the organization on Fox Sports Las Vegas, as well as all of our social media channels. Want to congratulate and wish the best of luck to Jackson Helm, the Frozen Four with BU, a VGK prospect. Looking forward to watching that journey this weekend. And it also offers an opportunity for Jack Eichel to get right back to his roots. It's amazing to see players' faces light up when they talk about the ties that they have within the hockey world. And obviously Jack spent that wonderful year with BU.
Yeah, and that's, his backyard, and he trains there, and even before he went to BU, he spent time skating there. So, it's a regional thing, it's a personal thing because he actually did play there, and the Frozen Four, fun stuff from a hockey perspective.
Frozen Four this week coming up. Looking forward to that in Tampa Bay.
They've had it there before.
Yep. So that's going to be some excitement. Other happenings around the National Hockey League that I want to touch on before we get back to the Minnesota Wild and the Vegas Golden Knights tonight. Pasternak reaches 100 points, so good on David with the hat trick. The beat goes on with the Boston Bruins.
They're deep. They're putting themselves in a situation with one of four teams with 60 wins. So it's become historic what they've done this year. Allmark has been lights out as a goaltender all season long, but so was his backup, Jeremy Swayman. So to me, now it becomes can they finish it off, right? Can they finish the storybook season off in the playoffs? Be a tougher task, but boy, oh boy, they don't have many weaknesses.
So the most recent wonderful run like this was Tampa Bay. And Tampa lost in the first round of that first year, of that year,
right,
losing in 4 straight.
But
to Columbus.
They hadn't won.
Right.
And that was the kick in the pants that stung so much. They say lots of times they say you have to lose first before you can win it all. That proved out to be true for Tampa going to the final the next 3 seasons, winning twice. Boston's a veteran group by and large.
Different team. Right?
It's a different team. So I don't necessarily think that they have to, because quite honestly, I mean, they have guys, Bergeron, Krejci.
We didn't know whether Bergeron was coming
back. Both of them, right?
Yeah.
So and they're on really friendly deals because of their age. They're able to have bonuses that doesn't count against the cap. So you're getting 2 quality, elite, all-time kind of players for below market value. That's helped out an awful lot. For me, their window is just about now, right? I mean, this is the year. So I don't think they necessarily need to have the setback before they can do it. This is the year to do it.
And it seemed to come out of nowhere too because of the changes they made. And then you've got the Minnesota Wild, who I didn't have in the playoffs, making a run right now without their best player, and the Vegas Golden Knights, who missed the postseason a year ago, made some significant changes within the organization and are back fighting for a conference lead.
Yeah, I mean, we lived it last year, all of us together, and it came apart. Like, to me, this season is not that different. Yes, I mean, I'm talking numbers and travel, not the chemistry that we heard exhibited in the locker room in the previous segment. That's that you can't measure those kinds of things when you start talking about chemistry and the importance. But what you can look at is last year they went 0-5 on that road trip. This year around the same time, right, in early March. This year they went 4-0.
4-1.
Or 4-1.
Yeah.
So essentially they did the same timing, but completely from a points garnered in a standings perspective, change the dynamic of your season.
And now they will try to, this week, with those 4
Right.
big games, really cement themselves. Although the way it's gone, it's impossible to really separate from the pack. It's just so jammed up right now. The Minnesota Wild tonight trying to sweep the season series from the Wild. They can also sweep the season series from the Nashville Predators. We're talking playoffs, so it's good to be talking sweeps. And then the Vegas Golden Knights back home at the Fortress on Thursday before a brief trip over to Dallas. And then there's 1 week to go. A lot happening around the National Hockey League, a lot of jockeying for position. The pregame show for the Wild and the Vegas Golden Knights coming up at 4 o'clock on Fox Sports Las Vegas this afternoon with Ryan Wallace. We'll be with you on the TV side at 4:30 on AT&T Sportsnet with Daren Eliot, Ashley Weiss, Gary Lawless, Dave Gosher, and Shane Knighty. Enjoy your afternoon. For everybody here, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. and good luck to the Golden Knights.